Turkey's story happened in 2002 when he was 17 years old, meaning he is currently 37 years old. He has a brother named Abdul Rahman, a year younger than him. Of course, when the story happened, Turkey's mother was still young, meaning she was just in the early 30s. I mean, she got married once when she was very young. Do you know in the past how marriages were? What respect for the legal sunnah? Their father is Saleh, who was in the late 40s and was an employee in one of the military sectors. In addition, he was diabetic. His personality was a little harsh, and sometimes he was nervous, but not all the time. No, if he was in situations that raised the pressure, he would eat you with your skin. Of course, we are residents of the eastern region, and we lived and were raised. We were born and spent all our lives there. Of course, our monastery was in the west of the south of the kingdom, and it was far from the eastern region. Why don't we reach the monastery by 900 kilometers? You can imagine the amount of fatigue in general in 1 year. We promised to our fathers if we succeeded. Of course, he bought us gifts. My brother Abdul Rahman and I were the two worst students in school. At the time, it was early 2002 to 2003. The PlayStation 1 had just been released, and we heard our friends at school saying, "My father is buying me a PlayStation 1, and whoever says he's buying me a Nokia phone," it occurred to us. A PlayStation 1, Abdul and I, our Rahman. So we worked hard at studying, Abdul Rahman and I, and we sat studying and studying and studying until we got a percentage. Sheikh, we have never gotten anything like it in our lives. We went to my father, we told him the good news, and see, my father, we succeeded. He said, "Okay, now what do you want us to buy you as gifts?" Abdul Rahman said, "By God, my father, see what comes from you, his goodness and blessings." It turned out that Abdul Rahman don't do it. The respectable boy, you see, we agreed that we want my father, by God, my father, frankly. Abdul Rahman and I agreed from the beginning that if we succeeded, but leave it as soon as the salary comes down and there is nothing left at all. In the next week, we will go to the monastery and take you to the market. Take what you want. And the salary actually went down, and we took it to the market. They also took my mother with us and bought for her. We bought a Nokia phone, and we were the happiest people on the face of the earth. But what a joy it was, not achieved in a soul. Today is noon, and we are playing PlayStation. My father said I had to leave work tomorrow morning. We will go to the monastery and arrange your things from now on, bags and everything, so we can move so-and-so in the morning. Also, like them, no one will worry about me anymore. I swear I forgot about this. My father, I swear I forgot what I removed from this. Now, I told you my father, of course, died of something called his monastery, to the point that he was submitting his resignation. He takes us to go and settle in the important monastery. The second day, early in the morning, he woke me up with a voice. My father was sitting and waking him up. "Get up, it is necessary." We walked early, we were late, and he sat down, turning off the air conditioners. He closes the windows and checks the kitchen cylinder. Then he got his car and approached it once. The gate is for us to carry the furniture, and the conditions are ours. Of course, we are arranging the furniture and carrying such and such. In the car and helping my father, I left the toys station, my truth. And how many books have such a story? I left it on the side. I said, then I will put it in the bag. And I was happy. I quickly got it and got into the car and opened the bag. I put it inside, and it was just me and my father at the time. The one in the car and my mother, Abdul Rahman, is still inside. The house was arranging their things, and I noticed my father. I opened the drawer in front of him, and he took out his weapon and sat down. "Clean it," and check if it contains lead or anything like that. Out of curiosity, I asked him. I told him, what about my father? You want to remove the weapon? I mean, this is the first time I said it. I see her pulling a weapon with us travelers. He said to me, my son, caution is a must, and you do not know what happens on the road. Anyway, get off now. Go with Abdul Rahman and your mother and tell them that your father says to you, hurry up, it is getting late. We want to catch up. The day, and I actually got off. I went and called them, and they were happy. Also, there are the things, and we carry them and everything. We put our trust in God. We passed by a grocery store, the neighborhood. As usual, as we do every year, we bought our stuff and stuff like that because the road is over after this part. There are no stations, no mall, no services, or anything except after 400 kilometers in a mall. Only one after the mall. This section is 500 kilometers to the city, and also, apart, there is no services. And you know how the roads were in the past? Very tiring after 250 kilometers, 300 kilometers like this, in the middle of the day. We died from the heat. My mother came out to my father like this, with angry expressions, and said to him, so you're lying to me? No, I swear I won't lie to you. I didn't have time. And he pressed. He worked and I don't know what. So they started separating from each other. I am Abdul Rahman. All right, guys, pray for me. The prophet said something good happened, and it was as if we were sitting. Let's give them some food. My mother said, come on, I swear to God, let it pass. We take a break now and relax for some time in the afternoon. The weather gets cold and then we move. My father said, no. The line becomes dangerous at night, with two roads and so on. I know what my mother said, never, by God, don't pass by. The second time you didn't lie to me. You told me to leave. One of the children takes it and goes to fix it. The important thing is, we had a break. And at that time it was free. I mean, in the middle of noon and the height of summer, the day we entered, the break was like this, meaning it was cold or comfortable. He took a shower and changed, and we had lunch and drank milk. Let's see the mass coma next treachery. Imagine when we woke up at 7 o'clock. Between sunset and dinner? No. And who woke us up? The owner of the rest house knocked on the door and said, oh, my father, you told me you would go out at afternoon. Now it's 8 o'clock. May God not humiliate you. Pay for the hours. The extra, my father, there is no power nor strength except with God. Of course, he wasn't upset that he was paying for the hours. The extra, he was upset that we missed our sleep, and the road is dangerous at night. So they left, and my mother woke up. He angrily, get up, old lady, see what you did. Among us, my mother woke up, shocked. What's up, see? What time is it? Filet, my mother is going out. At what time? My father, you like. Now she said to him, okay, Abu Turki, and be patient and everything will be fine. So it's done. We'll stretch out and go tomorrow morning, he said to her. My father, I tell you, by God, I won't waste a day of my vacation except I spend it in the country. Come on, go, get dressed, your abaya, and wake up the kids, and let's go. So-and-so wants, please. It's not possible, and the road is dangerous at night, and there are roadblocks. Excuse me, your mistake is your fault. Come on, go. Do what I told you about. I'm the car because of you. And indeed, my mother came and woke us up and said, come on, my children, get up. Your father is waiting for us in the car, and he's angry. So I got up, Abdul Rahman, and we were jumping, and we were lazy. We said to him, oh, Sheikh, tell him to let's lie down. Your father is angry. He has diabetes. I swear to God, let him come in here and flog you, and your brother Abdul Rahman flog. Come on, get up quickly, get dressed. Come on, Let's move. Imagine us going out like this, me and my brother Abdul Rahman and my mother going to the car. We saw the owner of the rest house talking to my father. After we got in the car, they were very close to us. So my mother lowered the car window and sat listening to them. Imagine what he was saying to my father. I mean, it was very stable. He was trying to convince my father to go until the morning and move because it is a very, very dangerous road at night. He also said to him, "You see, by God, you are the first family I have seen moving at night. I mean, it is strange. All the families always rent with me and walk in the morning." He actually wanted good for us and was looking for our benefit because, by God, what you will hear after a while and the situations that happen to us on the road will drive you crazy. My father came and said to him, "I am not convinced." My father said to her, "No, I am not convinced, and it is your fault, and it is your fault." My mother naturally calls him out, and my father is naturally nervous. So come and solve it. The important thing is that we had 3 situations, but the third and final situation I will never forget. By God, I can still hear what happened after a long distance like this. At the height of darkness, and the line was empty, Abdul Rahman asked my father to stop beside him. He was once crowded and wanted to relieve himself. My father stood beside the road and got down. Abdul Rahman was going to relieve himself after he finished, and he suddenly came back and collapsed. The first thing that Abdul Rahman collapsed was my mother. I quickly opened the door and went downstairs. I wish she had not descended, Ahmed. Oh, God, what a situation I saw, and I swear I have never forgotten it. Imagine while we were coming down, my father and we were sad and afraid. We wanted to know what was going on, but suddenly we saw my mother less than a meter before she reached Abdul Rahman. She collapsed and screamed, for every time we got closer, she and I were getting closer. Boya and my mother are screaming. She says, "Don't come close, no. I'm out of fear and shock." I froze for a while to see my father getting back to the car. He brought the fare and told me not to catch me. When he arrived, they have someone sitting on the ground hitting the tin, and I listen. He says, "There is no power nor strength except in God. O Lord, release it for us. O Lord, help us. Of course I am saved." The blood froze in my veins despite the distance. I mean, it's close between me and them except that a day is a year. My leg did not carry me, and when I first arrived, imagine. Except I see Haya, Janab lying next to my brother Abdul. The most merciful, of course. This snake is the one who is the most merciful. Maruf walks alongside and pinches him, one by one, you and the grave, and turn back to the left of my father. He was tying my mother's leg to her veil and telling me to quickly, "Oh, Turk, go to the car, open any trunk pants. Let us tie your brother Abdul Rahman's leg. Of course, I am here for the first time in my life. My father, may God suffice you, and it's all from you," my mother said. "Let us renew it, and you go and see what your stubbornness is. I wonder, my father, if anything happens to them, I swear it won't I forgive you for the day of judgment, and the sugar will rise a little. My father, you are ill-mannered, and you are uneducated. How dare you raise your voice against your father and bring my mother in? It's over between us. It's not time." And I actually went to the car as my father asked me to do. Get any piece of cloth or pants to tie a leg, Abdul Rahman, and I opened the bag like this. I started scattering it and going through the things. All of a sudden, a superficial shepherd stopped behind me, and someone got out looking like this. It's strange, frankly, that he doesn't feel reassured about his body. I mean, how can I describe to you once how thin and emaciated, if spending money on him like this will fly. But be honest with the man. This is a saying, don't judge people by who they are. Appearances really turned out to be competent men and sought afternoon, but unfortunately, there is a movement like this and something else that I hated. After her, the important thing is that he told me what's wrong with Salamont. I mean, we eat one piece of food one way and another. The night means something that I learned through the clowning. All of them and everything that happened. He said to me, "Okay, where did I say?" I was walking with him. He said to me, "Okay, okay, just a moment." He went to the car and brought a can of water with him and injected me. Of course, as soon as we arrived and saw the snake, he knew how much it had. How dangerous is this snake given that it is a resident? This area and its environs, I mean, he had some experience or background in treating such cases. Without any further advances, he pulled a slave leg. The most merciful, my brother, washed her with a can of water. He brought it with him from the car. In the place where the snake bites, there are fangs, because the poison comes out and he sits. May God honor you. Sucking his leg, he spit and sucked and spit approximately. He repeated it 10 times. He was sitting and extracting poison from Abdul Rahman's leg. Suddenly, his eyes came to my mother, and he was sincere. What's wrong with his eye? My mother never left me, of course, as my father taught you. He tied her legs with her scarf, so she was uncovered. What did I do? I was wearing a light jacket over the dress, the old jacket, if you know it. The old one, anyway. I took it off and went and covered my mother. You know, with the dizziness and fear and stuff like that. My father once forgot that my mother was uncovered. Anyway, after Abdul Rahman finished, he brought the same water bottle that he had with him, brought it close to his mouth, and started reading. Then he sprinkled a little bit of water like this on Abdul Rahman's leg and gave it to him. He said to him, "Drink like this." 2 sips. After my brother Abdul Rahman drank, he took it and poured a little bit of water into his hand. And he washed my brother Abdul Rahman's face and said to him, "How do you feel now?" Abdul Rahman, of course, at that time was, guys, how can I tell you, by God Almighty, his condition is very pitiful. Between life and death, he was very sweaty and his body turned yellow and was in pain. But after the men's treatment, that's what I'm saying. It's a bad situation, but I got better after I finished with Abdul Rahman like that. Without any introduction, he immediately came to hold my mother's leg. I stood involuntarily in front of him and stood. Good. God willing. My father looked at me and said, "I have a son," and went out and let the man treat his mother, of course. My father didn't see his malicious look at my mother first. He passed by my father's place and talked to me and said to me, "Okay." He went out and let the man see his work and your mother. You know, he was very tired. Then I realized that there was no need. I mean, seriously, we are in a desert and my mother is dying. So I moved away, and my good people, my heart inside is really torn apart. I am very upset, even by God. While he is sitting treating my mother, I have my back to them, and I don't want to see. Except for a little while, I hear him talking to my father. He said no. Thank God, I mean your wife. Once her condition was better than your son's, because according to what he said when the snake came, it would bite her, and it would get stuck in her abaya, and its fangs would melt, but it caught up to her leg. Anyway, God bless you and God bless you. And a little bit of this talk, my father said to me, "Turkey, go get the car so we can carry them." Imagine what this son of a bitch said. He said, "No, uncle, there's no need. You see, the place here is full of holes. If he brought the car, he might get stuck. I mean, he can carry the woman, you and I. Turkey can carry his brother and catch up. Here, it exploded. This helped us. Okay, you can walk, my dear. Come on. After he left, we carried my mother, and Abdul Rahman and the like. Thank God, their health was fine. You could say we can reach the country and pass by a clinic to see if Egypt needs poison or not. Anyway, after that, he got on his flatbed and left. We also moved after him all the way, and we were walking like this in the middle of the road. I was on fire inside. My heart, out of jealousy, for now, I am oppressed. I want to slaughter him. When my father saw me silent for such a period of time, long and long, I'm traveling, so I'm sometimes talkative. I love Asaf, so he thought I was upset with him. On the last situation that happened between him and him when we quarreled, and like that, he wants to please me just like the woman he is above something like this, and he kept telling me, hey, you are a Turk. That's it. He took it off a little bit. I gave him some dick. I told him, my father, do you think I am upset with you? I said, who? Why are you upset? I go and tell him the whole joke. My father, that is, the son of a dog, by God, if you taught me who. At first I knew how to deal with him and my mother. It is forbidden for you to interfere and oppress men and women. It seems that he is good and lawful, and it is enough that he is. Save our lives, but believe what yields good in you. Oh, my mother, what kindness and what injustice God has done. May God guide you. I swear, I didn't see anything while sitting. This is just what you're talking about. Because of something, mother. The important thing is that I turned around after something like this and kept looking around. On the bag of chips and other things we bought, and the groceries are first and foremost. Of course, we saved it. My brother Abdul, the most gracious, in order to make him more comfortable, sat down with a servant. The most merciful is like this. Tell him, O son of the lawful one, play a tambourine. A little while you can see the bags under him, except for the boy Ould Abdel Rahman also does not move. Of course I do not. I wanted to inform my mother about my parents and make them sad.